All right, so we're going to be doing Dev 401, which is the initial or the essential development class that we have. Let me start off with the ubiquitous Salesforce.com safe harbor statement. So any Salesforce.com is a publicly traded company, and any forward or future-looking statements that I make, please do not make any purchasing or operational decisions based on those. Yes, here's our legal stuff up here. So important stuff, but in general, the golden rule is that I try not to talk too much about future stuff. Talk about what here and now. But please don't make any purchasing or operational decisions on anything that I refer to that might be coming down the road. So, all right. So, Force.com. Let's get going on the introductions. First of all, let me check my email really quickly to check to see if we got back. 3-digit is correct. Okay. All right. So what I'd like to have everyone do at this moment in time is to log into your orgs that you're going to be using this week for the purpose of doing the lab exercises. And so what I'm going to do is each of you are going to log in as admin at dev401 and then a 3-digit number.com. Okay? And your numbers, so John, you'll be 837, Kevin, 838, Carol, 839, Chris, 840, Anu, 841, Chris, 842, Raj, 843, Talon, 843? Raj, you're 843?
Yes.
Okay. 844. Marat, 845. For some reason, counting numbers out is really hard. Lyra, 846. Mauricio, you're 847. And then Roger, 848. So if we could, if everyone could go out to login.salesforce.com. So why don't I'll just follow along with you. Oops. All right, so just go out to salesforce.com and then click on customer login. And then from here, we're going to do admin at dev401. And then your 3-digit number.
Password, is that a slash at the end or a 1?
It is not. It's a 1. So it's going to be password and then a numeric 1. And let me know if you have any issues with logging in. So it's admin at dev401 your 3-digit number.com. Okay. It's already forcing you to reset the password. Huh, let's see what happens here. Let's do this. So I guess you can't even get to the setup menu yet.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Enter your username to reset your password.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we, if you're getting the password reset, change it to something memorable and not necessarily secure. Really anything, San Mateo or something. Please don't use a real password that you know. All right. And then what I'd like you to do is once we're inside the orgs, let's click on Setup.
After the 3-digit, is there a dot?
Yes. So it's admin@dev401 dot and then number .com.
There is another dot.
Yeah, there's the yeah. So if I let's see if we can. So admin at dev401 dot and then 3-digit number.com, like so. Okay. Murat, are you able to get? Okay, great. Fantastic. All right. And then, yeah, Roger?
Oh, I'm about to say I'm getting that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just click no, and then, yeah, don't worry about uncheck the remind me again in a week. So, okay.
For mine, it said sent the password and email because it asked for the username and then of course I can't get at that email address. So it sent it to that.
And you can't
like right when I first logged in, it said you must reset your password. So
and
I put the username in.
Okay.
And it said your password has been emailed to you.
Let's do this.
Is there another? What's the next?
Roger, what was your number?
848.
848. You are 849. Yeah, let's do 849. Yeah. So, I'm not sure what's happening with that one.
Yeah, maybe someone locked it out or something.
Yeah. No big deal. We got more numbers. That's my solution to all these types of problems. So let me know when you're able, if you're able to get in. All right. Fantastic. All right. So what I'd like you to do is to click on Setup. And then if the critical update thing comes up, just go ahead and click no and don't remind me. And then what I'd like you to do is to expand My Personal Information and then click on Personal Information. And what we're going to do is we're going to log in and we are going to change the email account from this salesforce.uc@gmail.com and change that to any sort of email that you could access from these computers, any sort of web-based email, so that if, like what Kevin just went through, if a password is emailed for whatever reason, you can access that. Now, part of the reason that we're doing that is that later on next week, when you're back at your office, you can access these orgs when we're outside of the trusted IP range here. And you'll be able to activate your account by clicking on the link to send an email to that email address. So that's our main purpose in updating that email address right there. So anything that, preferably web accessible from these laptops, can be personal or business, doesn't matter. But update that to something that you do have access to. Okay? All right. And then what we'll do is we'll click on Save, and we're good to go. All right. Anyone have any issues with changing their email address in their account? All right. Let's keep going then. Okay. Like I said, the purpose of updating your email address is that right now we are in a trusted IP range, but when you return to your office next week, you might want to be able to access the stuff that you worked on this week. And what we do is we leave these orgs accessible for 1 week after class. So next week from your home office, you can access this, and now you can activate the account when you're outside of this trusted IP range. All right. Yeah, this is if we're in the trusted IP range, so we don't need to worry about this. But if you're using something like Data Loader, this is kind of an admin thing, but you can go into security controls and set up network access. In other words, set up your IP from outside here to be trusted. Okay? So otherwise, we block access. All right, any questions then before we get going? So, all right, let me just do some very last minute or whatever housekeeping I can think of. What we'll do is we'll do a 15-minute break in the morning. We'll start every day at 8:30. 15-minute break in the morning, and then an hour for lunch, and then we'll see how it goes. Maybe 2 10-minute breaks in the afternoon, maybe 1 15-minute. We'll just kind of see how we're doing. But we will schedule some break time. I do recommend if when we're doing a break, take a moment to stand up. Sometimes people get too focused, and it really does help from a learning standpoint to stand up, walk around, get your blood flowing, get a little exercise. We do have the cafeteria. It's not necessarily open. They do close it. It's during a window in the morning and the afternoon. But we do have a kitchen. You might have passed it when you were walking to this classroom. And we do have some snacks and some coffee. There's 2 refrigerators full of sodas and water, coffee. There's Gatorade, so there's all types of beverages. So stay hydrated. Once again, another learning thing. Hydrated brain is good for learning. So, okay. Let's see. The bathrooms, the restrooms are down this long hall, the same hall that you walk down. They're going to be about 3/4 of the way down the hall on the right-hand side. The men's room is first, and then a few feet after that is the women's room. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Just in general, what we'll be doing is a lot of lecture, but then a lot of lab exercises. You'll see it's kind of nicely broken up. We'll be like 15 minutes of lecture, 15 minutes of lab type thing. Our goal is to get you a lot of hands-on time. Feel free to ask questions. So if you have a question, just go ahead and raise your hand. And I'd rather sort of take questions as they kind of come. Well, like I said, what I'll do is I'll often repeat the question. Sometimes I don't know the answer to the question. Actually, often I don't know the answer to the question. It's usually something I just haven't thought about, or some sort of situation that I haven't thought about. What I'll do is I'll write it down and then try and do some research and find out the answer for you and possibly get back to you the next day. Okay? And then, yeah. All right. Any questions before we get going then? All right. Let's get going. All right. So Salesforce.com. Salesforce.com is, and especially the Force.com platform, very different from previous architectures. So, back in the day, there were mainframe-based applications, and everything, all of the processing was conducted at the server. With the advent of PCs, client-server, and then now what we're doing is on-demand or software as a service. And what that means is that we host the applications at our data centers, and our customers subscribe to those applications. Our architecture is a multi-tenant architecture. And what that means is that it's not like when you sign up for Salesforce.com in your company, let's say that you have 500 licenses, 500 seats at Salesforce.com. There is not a server or a set of servers allocated to you. The Force.com platform, or Salesforce.com, is a multi-tenant architecture. So much in the same way, if you go to Google and you do a search, it's not like you have your own personal search engine. It is a shared environment. One of the things that we do is we obviously filter based on the information that's unique to your org. But when it comes down to it, there is one really large database behind Salesforce.com, which is a shared repository for all of our customers' data. It's also a subscription model. So we do not charge an upfront perpetual license fee. What we do is we charge our customers to subscribe to the service. So you pay as you go for whatever you need. So it's a very different model, not just from the architecture of the solution from a computing standpoint, but also from a licensing standpoint. Some of the advantages of doing things this way: scalability. So it's we have over 1 million users who are using Salesforce.com. We have over 50,000 different customers, in other words, companies, organizations using Salesforce.com. It allows us, because we have a single application that we're supporting, it allows us to innovate because we're able to focus all of our attention. We don't have to worry about supporting multiple operating systems or different sort of configurations or databases or whatever. We focus on the one version that everyone is utilizing. So it's Salesforce developers are either working on the current version or the next version. There's not too much of that sort of legacy concerns. All right. And then from an administrative standpoint, things like automatic upgrades. So we take a lot of the maintenance worries off of the plate of our customers. We look at the world in terms of, we kind of at Salesforce, you'll notice that we have two color schemes. You'll see the red to refer to our off-the-shelf applications. We have what we refer to now as our Sales Cloud and our Service Cloud. Those are the pre-built off-the-shelf applications that have a lot of functionality that does not require customization on your part. Then we have what we refer to as Platform as a Service, or Force.com. And what this is going to be our focus this week, although much of what we're talking about can be applied to service and support and sales. But taking this platform, we've opened it up so that you can create your own custom data model. You can create your own custom business logic. You can create custom user interfaces. So all of these things are elements of a stack in which you can incorporate custom logic. Okay? All right. A key thing to understand also is that the Salesforce applications run on top of that same stack. So the different ingredients that you can utilize to customize your applications are the same ingredients which are being utilized by the standard applications that we provide. Okay? We split up the world into two different categories. And what we're going to be focusing on this week, for the most part, is the declarative. We're really going to be talking about most everything except the object-oriented coding stuff. So we're going to be talking about the declarative mechanisms for updating the UI, creating custom business logic, and creating a custom data model. All right. By declarative, what we mean is the setup menu. So utilizing point-and-click tools in order to create these customizations. Now, in addition, at the end of the week, we're also going to get into more of the programmatic side, which is we're going to talk about Visualforce pages. Visualforce pages is our markup language for creating custom web pages presented to our users where we have a great deal of control over that user interface layer. What we don't talk about this week is Apex. Apex is our object-oriented programming language that we have. We have a different class devoted to Apex. It's called Dev 501. Apex is a pretty meaty topic because it's object-oriented programming, so there's all different types of stuff that goes into that. Okay. One thing I'd like to point out is that it has the declarative with objects, fields, and relationships over there on the left-hand side, and that's actually going to be our first topic of the day. But the same data model that goes into the declarative side of things also goes into the programmatic side. So understand that there's the data model that we're creating and utilizing over there on the when we're doing things via the setup menu is the same one that we would use regardless of how our application is functioning. The benefits to doing things declaratively via the setup menu: speed, ease in which we can create application logic. The benefit of the programmatic is flexibility, greater control, but there's a trade-off. You know, when you're writing object-oriented code, it takes more time versus the pre-built, out-of-the-box logic that we have in the setup menu that's available to you. Okay. Our mantra is that if you can do things via the setup menu, via the point-and-click tools, use the point-and-click tools. Much easier to do and much more maintainable. Our recruiting application, we're going to spend the week utilizing a recruiting application. And the recruiting application, the purpose of this is that we came up with something that was not specific to our standard applications. So the idea is that it's a completely custom application, and it's something that most people are familiar with. So some of the custom objects that we're going to be working on are things like candidates, which represent a candidate applying to a specific job, a position, which represents either an open or a closed position, a job application. A job application is actually a junction between a specific candidate applying to a specific job. Okay? We're going to be implementing security around this. We're going to be implementing business logic around this. We're going to be implementing a custom user interface. We're also, in our data management section, we're going to get into utilizing some tools and talking about how we could import data into this system and get it out and so on. Okay, and all the issues that surround that. All right, let me talk about the object model. An important part of this is our data model. And so much like in an application that uses a relational database, we also have what are roughly the equivalent of tables in which we're storing in our rows the different records that we would like to track. And it's relational. So we're able to create multiple different types of these objects and then to define relationships between them. Okay? So let me focus. I think for what we're going to be doing this week, kind of the focus is going to be on the right-hand side of this, which is our candidates and job applications and positions, and then also the reviews, which are doing the lookup to the job applications.
So would you build this with the standard thing we learned in, I forgot, was it 301 or 201, to build these tables? Or is this pre-built for us for the class?
So the question is, would you build this on your own? Like, you mean like out in the sort of like when you get home, you're going to build your own application?
Well, I remember in the other class, the admin class, we could create our own objects.
Create our own custom objects.
Is that what we would use to create these?
Exactly. So are you going to be using the same techniques to create the custom objects which represent the data model of your application? The answer is yes. And we're going to be doing the same. We're going to be using the same area of the tool in order to generate that custom object model that is our data model behind our application. So yes, yeah. All right, and then like I said, we have the reviews, which are related to our job applications. So when a user of our system is interviewing a candidate for an open position, they would fill out a review associated with that position in order to give a review of the candidate's suitability for a specific position. There's also offers, which represent an offer that we would extend to a candidate. An interviewer represents a user who's going to be assigned a role associated with a position. The way ours works is that for every position that we have 4 people who would be the assigned interviewers for that job. And so one person would do a managerial interview, another person would do a technical interview, another person would do a functional interview. So each of these people will be assigned a role associated with a specific position, and they would interview the candidates applying to that position. Okay? Yes, question?
I noticed that there are like underscore C or double underscore C. Are those like naming conventions that we have to follow?
Very good. So the question is, you do see some, the names that are listed here have the double underscore C. in a few places. And what is that referring to? What that's referring to is anytime, it's two main things. Anytime we create a custom object or we create a custom field. And I'll talk in more detail soon about this. But it's a naming convention that we use that anything that you create that's custom, we append that $_C onto the end of it. And I'll talk about how there's actually a $_R, so it gets a little bit more complicated, but custom objects and custom fields is the short answer as to what that is. Okay? All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick demo of the application. And as I said, the purpose of this class, or one of our things that we're going to be doing in this class, is to create this application and implement a lot of the functionality. So we'll be going through and talking about the different things that are available, and then we will be implementing those within the tool. So if I go out here and do this login ID and then select so here's an application that's in a complete state, and that's just a little page of shortcuts I use for demos, which you'll see me using later on. But within here, we have, this is a standard Salesforce application. So we represent different objects with tabs. And one of the things the user can do is the user can view a particular object type. Here, I've clicked on the Positions tab. This is a list of all of the jobs that are open and are available, or for that matter, closed within this organization. And what I could do is I could create a new position. So I could define one by clicking on that New Position button. I could fill out a form. In this case, this is a standard page layout, but I would give my job a title. So I'm going to do my position. So Senior Technical Instructor. Each record that, for each position record that we create, will have different fields associated with it, and each field has a data type. So in this case here, in the type drop-down list, this is a field of type pick list. And so there are 3 types of jobs: full-time, part-time, and temp. So I'm going to select full-time. There's a pick list of available departments. We're actually utilizing record types. We'll talk about record types tomorrow. But this is a subset of the available department types. So if I select finance, and then this is what we refer to as a dependent pick list. We'll be covering that tomorrow, I'm actually covering that today. But here I can select one of these options for a pay grade. Here's a field that does a lookup, and so I could come out here and select that I want to identify a particular hiring manager. And then there's some other fields. Let me just fill out the one that's required. Here's a field that is of type date time. Here's one of type date. Here's another pick list, but this is a multi-select pick list. So some skills associated with this position. Here's a text area, so I'd fill out this person would do a bunch of stuff. So here's my job description, and then responsibilities. And then finally, I can click on Save, and we'll see if this actually goes through. I might have some logic associated with this. All right, went through. So what I've done is I've now created a new record within my organization's database. And what I've done is define a new position. Now we're going to talk about how we can implement our data model in the sense that we can connect to these different objects. We're going to talk about how we can customize the user interface that I just utilized. We're going to talk about how we can automate some business logic so that when a new position is created, we could have something, some sort of action performed or an approval process where a user would need to approve this particular position. and a lot of other stuff.
For more information on Salesforce.com training and certification, please visit www.salesforce.com/training.